Make sure that the weather conditions are the way you need it. Just take it up another notch. I didn't make a mistake. I didn't do anything wrong. None of us did. All we did as a crew was to try to mitigate one of the worst situations that have ever happened to an airplane. Just trying to make it survivable. How must it feel if you were to be the cause? I had compression fractures of the lower back. I had broken ribs, punctured inside my right lung cavity. I had internal bleeding, massive movement of organs. My left shoulder was dislocated. My arm broke. The nerve that goes from the brain to my right hand was severed, so I effectively lost my right hand. My hand cut open and lost the tendons in my fingers. Teeth broken and cracked, facial lacerations, chunks of meat taken out of me here and there. That's basically it. My body's broken, and I'm in hospitals, I'm in surgeries, and I can't fly, and my hand doesn't work. God, am I ever going to get there? Is it ever going to happen? You know, finding a doctor to do this miracle surgery I need on my right arm. Where am I going to find this guy? Who is he? Can they do it? Can I make my hand work? Can I make my hands work well enough to fly again?
You really wanted to fly again?
Desperately. My doctors never believed that I ever make back into the cockpit. I did believe. Every time they'd see me, they'd say, how you doing, Denny? And I'd say, I'm super, Doc. I'm one day closer. I'm one day closer. I knew that if I did one day, it was going to be the right day and I'd be there. They didn't have the nerve to tell me. They didn't have the heart to tell me that, no, you're not. I did not want, desperately did not want that to be my last landing, not to go out that way. And I fought with everything in my heart and my soul to get back. It's as though God looked at that airplane and said, I want you, not you, not you, you. It was so salt and pepper. Right after the accident, a lady walked up to me and stuck her finger in my chest and said, you killed my daughter. You killed my daughter. And I agreed with her. I thought that I should be dead so that she could be alive. A 9-year-old had every right to be alive. I had a life already. And about 4 years later, I was asked to speak to a group of general aviation pilots in the Chicagoland area. The host asked me if it'd be all right if one of the accident victims were in the audience. And I said, with great hesitation, yes, it'd be okay. I was chancing this again, risking again to have that happen all over. And I met her, and she's in a wheelchair. And if you had to pick a grandmother you'd want for your own, you'd pick her. She was a wonderful lady. And I bent over and I held her among all these male pilots and I just hugged her. And in my ear I heard her say, Captain, I am so glad to meet you. You are my hero. I knew her husband died next to her. And I said, Doris, I am so glad to meet you as well. And I am so sorry that I could not save your husband. And she pushed me back gently and she said, Bull. Captain, let it go. God wanted him. I needed permission from somebody who shared the experience, who suffered the loss, to go on. What could I have done differently? How could I have made this more successful? How could I have made it totally survivable? How could I have flown that airplane differently? Looking back on it, what would you do differently? You know, beating yourself up going back there. And you beat yourself, and it's necessary. You've got to flagellate your body. You got to beat yourself up. You have to go back and find the answer. If I did this, would this make a difference? If I did this, if I had put more power on, did less thing here, if I knew how close I was, you know, there's just a million ifs. And I've reflown that approach a million times in my mind in search of better answers. And the conclusion was, I don't think I could have done a thing different. B7 was a 727, which is a shorter walk and less work. And I love the 727. I flew it for 9,000 hours and flew all 3 seats in it. But for some reason, I walked the additional distance and got on 232, the DC-10.
Why?
That's the question I'll never know. It was to be. You pick the term that makes you comfortable, fate, chance, or luck. I had choices. I could have gone left and I could have gone right. I took the path to the left, and that was the one that took me to the DC-10. I have no idea why. You think about life, you think about what's important, you think about why you lived. If that could happen like that, where do you want to be when it does, if it does? I guarantee you that if you ever find a moment in time where you think your end is near, you will think of the people you love, and you will ask the question, where am I? And I hope you have a good answer. April 15th, 1990. I was in a DC-10 in the captain's seat pushing back for the Honolulu. And the cabin announcement in the back is, today in command of your flight is Captain Denny Fitch. They didn't believe, but I did. We're taxiing out to the runway, and the tower called us and said, if you can be ready when you get to the other runway, we have a slot, you can get you out right away. And it just like a switch went off inside. Boom. Start the engine, you do this, bang, 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 bang. We turned the corner. Before I knew it, I was pushing up the power and roaring down the runway. We shoot it over the gap. We're out over the Pacific Ocean. It all happened so fast. After we passed the point out over the water, I was climbing and things had settled down, and I realized that, oh dear God, I'm back. I'm back. I turned my head away so as not to see me cry, but I just looked heavenward and said, thanks. Thanks for letting me come back. I love what I do. I love it. I was meant to do it. I was built for it, and it's just been a true joy. I've never gone to work. I've only gone to fly.